wanted to talk about the top 5 topics that cause cancellation. Number 1, and this is no particular order, I just wanted to name 5. Number 1, you might get canceled if you talk about stereotypes or even prejudices. We know how that goes. You might say something racist, or you might just talk about something that is like a racial topic. Maybe you're trying to expose something. You still could get canceled for that. If it's unpopular and the people in power want you to be canceled bad enough, you can be. You might even say something that deep inside of you is maybe racist or prejudiced, and you not even realize it. Yeah. You can get canceled for that. Something that was culturally normal years ago, and now it's not anymore, can get you canceled.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to something with racial undertones or things that are prejudiced. Number 2, I would say something else. You might get canceled if you talk about genders or sexuality. That's something else that might get you canceled.
Yeah.
Be careful on how you talk about genders and sexuality. And if you're not being careful, at least be wise. Let's say it like that. Be wise.
Yeah.
Because you can boldly say something that you know is going to be unpopular and might get you canceled or shamed in public or anything like that.
The issue of gender inequality, that whole,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, women getting paid less in corporate America. There seems to be, just a rising beef with that. So that's part of it.
Yeah. Even when it comes to should kids, boys and girls share bathrooms? That even is controversial, and that was tough to talk about at my job.
Yeah. So again, they're denying science in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Just biology. Biological realities for the sake of treating everybody the same. And it's again, that's a form of postmodernism, deconstructing what's actually true and leaving it relative for the person's preference. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. It's giving autonomy to the individual at the expense of common sense and logic and reason. You know what I'm saying? Observation. So it's denying science, it's denying biology, it's denying common sense.
Right.
Leaving it to the person to infuse any meaning into whatever categories they want to, and even recategorizing the categories.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And number 3 is kind of at the heart of everything. Everything else stems from this, really. That's why we talked about being politically correct. Number 3, things you might get canceled for, if you talk about politics. Yeah. Politics is such a hot topic, such a red button. We have to be careful when we talk about politics or politicians or policies.
Right.
Or police.
Right.
All of those things are connected with one another. And I think politics are at the middle of everything.
Yeah, I think politics is a good measurement or pulse on society or what's going on in the country. They're the representatives of those who, they've been elected by the people. And so it's sad when you look at politics right now and the politicians and what's going on. It almost seems like people just don't care anymore. They can lie one day and do whatever the next day. You know?
Yeah. Number 4, morals and ethics. Talking about morals that you hold to or certain ethics, right, can get you shamed, can get you canceled as well. That's on a large scale, like Hollywood, or even on a small scale, which is like everyday life. Yeah. It's always fun at work talking about certain things because I already know that I'm probably going to have the unpopular opinion, or at least looked at as extreme, even by self-professing Christians. I'm looked at as extreme when it comes to things like holding to the biblical standards.
Yeah.
Like holding to the scriptures. Well, I don't think that that's right because the Bible says this, and they're like, yeah, but isn't that a bit extreme? And I'm like, even if it's extreme, it's biblical.
Yeah.
Like, it's what God wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be extreme. Well, maybe what you're talking about is extremely wicked, and we need to talk about what is extremely righteous. Like, it's funny dealing with those things at work, even with my family members, like family members and friends and neighbors and people close to me. I get to the point where sometimes I don't even feel like arguing with people, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone came up to me today, and I can't really get into it too deep, but there's certain things that people will say to me, and I know that if I respond how I really feel, I know that it'll start up something. And I'm like, you know what? I really don't feel like it today, or I don't feel like it at this moment. I'm not gonna do
the right thing at the wrong time.
Yeah, that too. So I'm like, I'll maybe one day we'll get to talk about that in a different way. And then last but not least, out of the top 5, I'd say things that might get you canceled if you talk about them: faith and religion. And again, I think this plays at the heart of everything: politics, faith, and religion. Yeah. Like, all of those things play at the heart of all of what we're talking about here.
Right.
What do you hold to? What do you believe in? Who do you believe in? What don't you believe in? Just all of those things right there. How do you live out your faith? Like, all of those things can get you canceled if it's too extreme, or if it's unpopular, or if it's offensive.
Yeah.
Or all of the above. It doesn't take a whole lot to get canceled out today.
Yeah, some of the things that I looked at that causes people to want to cancel things in the culture is multiculturalism versus the melting pot idea. You know what I'm saying? So, like, this idea that you can be a part of the culture but not assimilate to it. You know what I'm saying? Some people believe we should just develop different cultures and, almost have them be autonomous from the overall culture, which is happening in America. And the melting pot idea is like you assimilate to the culture and you bring your culture into it.
Yeah.
That's beefy out there right now. White privilege, some people have coined that term. That's a hot button topic. Institutional racism, illegal immigration, refugee advocacy, gender inequality and wealth inequality. Like, you begin to hear those things being echoed in the culture, and those are like, a lot of people's motives and reasons for wanting to cancel a lot in the culture.
Yeah,
because they're seeing some things, and within those categories, there are some realities in there. But the problem is, it becomes the overall motive to cancel or even distort someone's judgment, So,
yeah.
What I'm saying is, as a Christian, we have to, our preceding motive is not those things. It's being a gospel witness. And when we see injustices in our culture, we deal with them, but we deal with them biblically. We think of the offender and also the victim. Both need saved.
Yeah.
And
even speaking of victim, I'm looking at Lewis's comment. Lewis said, yeah, I think society is too easily offended. Being offended is the recipient's choice and responsibility to a good response when the offense is legitimately offensive. But deciding to be offended by anything is society's idol. They think it incurs more entitlement to be more untouched and noticed. Canceling and lawsuits are yielded to so quickly. Victimhood is intensely worshipped in our society. People would even lie about it to make it look like they're a victim. In the case of Jussie Smollett.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or I was thinking about what I saw from Dave Chappelle when he called him Juicy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Juicy Smollett.
Yeah.
No, that's so true, man. That's so true. And Britney was even talking about people canceling her over something that she holds to. Like, oh, if you believe in this, just go ahead and unfriend me. Like,
Yeah. It's like, come on.
Why do we only have to be friends with people on social media or in real life whenever we agree with them?
Yeah.
I think people are scared of ideas that go against what they believe. Yeah. What is that called? Is that fear of the unknown? Is that that's not xenophobic. What is that? My bad. I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm trying to think of that. I looked it up before. The fear of something you don't agree with. Anyway, I get it. I get it. The whole cancel thing. Like getting rid of what you think is wrong, because everyone is trying to right the wrongs of society and humanity, right? They're trying to right the wrongs that they see in front of them. They want to do good. They want to do right. But I just think that sometimes we just get a little too extreme, and I think it becomes a little too worldly.
Yeah. The thing it's happening with not just individuals, but groups of people. A lot of people, man. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, it's a systemic problem.
And, you know, I was talking about like the world at this point with this whole cancel culture, the Me Too movement and everything. It seems like the world is bringing judgment and wrath on the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. The world is bringing judgment on the world. The world is showing its wrath on the rest of the world. That brings me back to episode 1, Only God Can Judge Me. Episode 1 of The Basement, Only God Can Judge Me, when we were just talking about how, you know, the world loves to judge people, but they hate whenever Christians judge people, or they say Christians are too judgmental and we need to shut up. You know what I mean? Like, we're seeing a lot of this in the world where people are judging one another. And it could be for something that was years ago that a person no longer even believes anymore. And then when that person says, I don't hold to that anymore, I've grown out of that, they still say, so what? You're canceled. Get him out of here. Off with his head.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about whenever someone rightfully needs to be canceled. I don't think that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about whenever someone wants to get rid of you because you believe in something that offends them or they disagree with.